played some of the largest stadiums and arenas literally in the world, but I prefer to play smaller rooms for a couple of reasons. Number one, I find it much more intimate, and personally it sounds so much better standing on a smaller stage like that in a room that is acoustically designed for music and shows than in some hockey arena that sounds like the inside of a metal trash can. Most of the time they don't sound as well. And it's so much closer to the people that you're actually playing music for. I think you can really kind of bond better with people on that level than on some football field that the stage is 15 feet high. It's just, it's too removed for me. I prefer smaller rooms, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a better experience for the performer. So are you traveling with a band, or is it just you with a guitar? What's the plan?
No, I have a full band, and everybody in my band has a very substantial pedigree. My keyboard player was with me during Hell Freezes Over tour and the Eagles. He's also worked with Whitesnake, Stevie Nicks. He played with Don Henley for a while. The drummer in my band is just right off the Roger Daltrey tour. I don't know if you saw Roger's last pass when he went around. A guy named Scott Deppers, great player, really nice guy. My guitar player actually has just left me about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. He's the musical director on the Who tour right now. Frank's been with me for nearly 8 years, so I have another guitar player that's every bit as good, a guy named Greg Saran, who played with the Goo Goo Dolls for about 4 years. Also works with just some amazing people. If you go put in there his name, you can pull up all the people he's played with, from Jewel to Christina Aguilera. Just a great player and a really nice guy. My bass player is an operatically trained tenor singer that sings all these spectacular high harmonies, just pitch perfect, and plays this low-down, dirty, nasty bass part underneath the band. And he actually sings opera a couple of times a year. He goes over to Germany and sings opera. He's played with like Loggins and Messina, Kenny Loggins, Michael McDonald. Everybody in the band has a pretty substantial pedigree.
What's the plan for the set?
I do, a lot of the big hits that I either co-wrote or recorded with the band: Hotel California, Heartache Tonight, Life in the Fast Lane. Some of the other Eagles classics, Peaceful Easy Feeling, Witchy Woman, One of These Nights, stuff that I co-wrote and recorded with the band for so many years. Then I do a couple of songs, like I do a song that's a tip of the hat to Stevie Ray Vaughan called Pride and Joy. It's just a chance to plug in and let it rip and play the blues, sing and kind of salute Stevie. I do Heavy Metal, a song I wrote for that animated movie back in the 80s that so many people like. It was recently featured in South Park about a year ago, as a matter of fact, in a really funny episode. And then I do about 3 or 4 songs from this new record that is out. One of those songs is a song called Fall from the Grace of Love, which was just aired last night on Homeland, if you like that TV show. It was just in Homeland. And it's a really fun rock and roll show. I mean, by the end of the night, everybody's up dancing, having a great time. It's like a big party, So, I don't know if you know, but I wrote a book called Heaven and Hell: My Life in the Eagles.
Yeah,
and it started out as a very kind of cathartic process, trying to figure out how I'd gotten from a little dirt road in Gainesville, Florida, into one of the biggest rock and roll bands in American history, and then how that had affected me. While I was writing that book, I've had a studio in my home since '82. I would take a break from that writing text, and I'd go in the studio and have those song ideas of those events, like that song Fall from the Grace of Love, when I was writing the part about breaking up with my wife and family of 29 years and going through a divorce. I'd go in the studio and write these song ideas and record them in the studio. So I wound up amassing 26 songs over that same period of time. I kind of cut it down to what I thought were the best 16 songs, recorded those in the studio with some just great friends of mine came in to help me on the record, pared it down to what I thought were the best 12 songs and put those on the record. The other 4, like iTunes, Amazon, where you get bonus tracks in there. But it was just such a great process to do, and when I was writing those songs, as you probably understand or know from rumors, that there was a lot of conflict and tension in the studio amongst the band in the Eagles. And I didn't want to go back in the studio and suffer that same environment again. So I really called on, first of all, a lot of really good friends of mine, like Stephen Stills and I had a band when we were 15 years old. Crosby Nash was the first band I played in when I got to California, so I called Crosby, Stills, and Nash to come in and sing on the record with me. They were all delighted and came in and helped me out. Steve Lukather, who's just one of the funniest guys you'll ever be in the room with from Toto. Not only is he just a brilliant guitar player, but the whole time he's with you, you're laughing and just having a great time. He came in and worked on some music with me. Randy Jackson, the dog dude that everybody knows from American Idol.
Right, yeah.
He's just a stunning bass player, probably one of the best bass players in the business right now. And I had this one song called Someday that I wanted just this killer bass part on, so I called Randy, and he came in and played on it. It turned out to be, a group of good friends that are great musicians that were working together on this project. Tommy Shaw from Styx came over and wrote some lyrics with me, helped me write a couple of songs, one called Wash Away and another one called Heal Me, and then sang the harmonies on those choruses with me. So, it was a celebration more than it was a labor of love and joy more than it was, an intense process that I had come to really hate going through so many times with the Eagles,
Right.
It was hard to do that. So I made it as fun as I could, as much fun as I could.
And having, co-written Hotel California, and some other, sort of iconic tracks, does that put any pressure on you as a songwriter?
Well, no. I mean, to me, when I wrote the music for Hotel California, I had no idea what it was.
Right.
And I don't think any musician really does. I mean, you can be excited about a song and it not be successful. Or you can put yourself into something that you really believe in. And those songs, like I said, that I wrote for this record were very personal experiences that I went through. Much like my autobiography, I wanted to just be open and honest and let people see who I was, not only in text but in music as well. So I never felt like a song like Hotel California only comes around very rarely. And so if you're always comparing everything else you do to that song, I think you're going to wind up losing that battle sooner or later. So I tried to create something that I really felt was worthy of the time and effort and energy it took to produce this record and write these songs. And at the same time be a lot of fun to play live and that people can relate to, because there's a human commonality in those songs that are on this record that a lot of people can understand, experiences that they've gone through. And to me, really good art is art that affects people. Either you can walk by a painting and really like it, or you can walk by and go, that's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I really don't like that. But you don't want to walk by a painting and not have any reaction at all. And so the paintings or the art that reaches people, whether it's literature or people relate to literature, poetry, music, art, photography, movies, whatever it is that people really relate to, it to me is the quality art that I try to do. I try to portray musically and through song and production feelings that people can relate to, and to me that's the quality of the art, and people can see and feel what you're seeing and feeling through a song is great.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions about the Eagles?
Sure, go ahead.
So are you in touch with the band today at all, or what's the status of your relationship with the band?
I try to draw the analogy that it feels like I'm standing next to this frozen wall of ice, and I can look through and I can see people from my past on the other side of that frozen ice wall, but I can't communicate with them. They can't hear me, and they certainly aren't chipping away from their side of the wall to try to get through. Really, the only response I've reached out numerous times to those guys, and the only response I ever get is from their attorneys. My wife and I were married for 29 years. We have hundreds of friends. We have 4 kids. We have grandkids together. We speak on the phone. We come to each other's houses for Thanksgiving. There's no need, just because some relationship doesn't work out, that you can't appreciate the years and the work you did together, or the relationship you had together, and just shake hands and be friends and go forward in life without carrying all that baggage. Unfortunately, that's a one-way street, where when it comes to that band, they have chosen not to continue any relationships at all.
And so, looking back, since you had some time and you wrote the book, and why do you think it is so tumultuous with the band? Is it too many egos in one band? Too many people who should be running their own band? Or what do you think what the issues are?
I think it was a really rare opportunity to have 5 guys in the band that each brought an enormous amount of talent. Any one guy in that band could have been, and had been, their own front man of their own band. Everybody in the band wrote, sang, and played. So we had a huge abundance of talent to choose from. So we chose the people's strongest suit. My strongest suit was writing music and playing guitar. Don Henley's strongest suit was singing. He's got a brilliant voice and writes brilliant lyrics. So we took the strongest attributes of every part of that band and really relied on those. In other words, everybody brought something to the party. Everybody brought something to the table. What happens is that a lot of the conflict and tension that went on in that band was about what songs were going to go on the record, what lyrics were good, what songs weren't good, what should be, how do we make the best record? And you can't say to someone what they've labored on and worked so hard on is no good and not have, not do some damage. So there was a lot of contention and friction in there, doing this kind of less than artful tap dance around each other, trying to be honest yet very considerate at the same time. And so it was hard. Like I said, anyone in that band could have fronted their own band and are now. I mean, Joe's out doing a solo thing. I'm doing a solo thing. Glenn just put out a solo record. Henley's recording a solo record. I think Timothy did one a couple of years ago or a year or so ago. So, any one of those people, when you have that many triple A plus personalities in the band, there's going to be friction. And the result was we made some great music together, but the damage of the relationships was the casualty. Well, they're doing a documentary going back to the oldest footage that's supposed to come out this next year, and they asked me if I would participate in it. I should say their lawyers asked me if I would participate in it. So I felt, since I had been such a large part of that, next to Don Henley and Glenn Frey, I'm the longest standing member in that band.
Right.
So, and one of the members that brought so much to the party with Hotel California that I felt I should be represented. So I went in and filmed interviews and stuff for that film. I have no idea if there'll ever be a physical time and space where we'll all be on the same stage again. I never say never, but I'm not holding my breath.
Right, yeah.
We created some great music together, and I love playing the music with those guys. It's the other 22 hours of the day that's so hard to stick with.
You've had all these interesting experiences of meeting Stephen Stills when you were so young, and I think you taught Tom Petty at one point, and you knew Duane Allman, all these different sort of people who go on to having these major careers. So is there a quality that you can identify in them, that some commonality or something besides just being talented that you think helps people to sort of succeed? And you can include yourself in this too. Is there something you can say they all sort of had this element to their personalities? Or
well, I think it was a really unusual circumstance that so many kids that grew up in the same neighborhood, like me and Betty and and Stills and Bernie Ledden and the Allman Brothers, and right down the street over in Jacksonville, Leonard Skinner was going on. So many people in that same region went on to be platinum-selling artists and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, and we all kind of influenced each other. I taught Petty how to play guitar. Dwayne taught me how to play slide. We were all in battles of the bands together, and the Allman Brothers always won. Whether the name of their band was the Allman Joys or the Spotlights or the Allman Brothers, they were the best singers and players in North Central Florida at the time. And I don't know if that was something in the water we were all drinking or something in what we were smoking that led to us all going on to be so successful. But I did an interview a couple of years ago about Motown and how it was such an unusual circumstance of Berry Gordy having the ear and the insight to be able to choose artists like Diana Ross and the Supremes and Stevie Wonder and, Smokey Robinson and all those people that came out of that one little area of town was very much like what happened in Gainesville, Florida, or in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and how and why those people all migrated into that same circumstance is just a mystery to me. I will say that there was no one that was in any of those circumstances that were particularly affluent. Nobody had any money. We were pretty much all self-taught or very close to it. If I knew how to do something, I'd show Tommy, and if Dwayne knew how to do something, he'd show me, and we kind of influenced everybody in that area together. And we were always trying to outdo the other person, the other band. We wanted to be the most successful, or the band that got hired first, a band that won the Battle of the Bands. And I think that's people that are just driven in their particular field of choice. There's a song on this new album called Give My Life, and it's about that specific thing, about finding something in your life that you're willing to give your life to, whether it's a woman or a relationship or a talent that you have, that's what you love doing more than anything, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to give yourself to that wholeheartedly, 100%. And I think all of those people, whether it was Petty or me or the Allman Brothers or Stills or Bernie Ledden, all had that willingness to commit themselves and give themselves wholeheartedly and 100% to what they loved doing the most, which was playing music. And there were a lot of people that I was in bands with down there in Gainesville that went on to become insurance salesmen, or finished college and became a doctor, and they kind of went on to other fields, that their obsession and love and rapture of doing what they were doing musically was less of a driving force. There was a bass player, on the other hand, that played bass with me and Bernie for a while, for about a year, who actually, from the minute he woke up, would sit and play classical guitar. He'd studied with Andre Segovia, and just was brilliant classical guitar player. And he wound up playing bass in my band for some reason, who wound up heading the School of Boston Conservatory of Music for their classical guitar department. And you knew when you went over to pick him up for rehearsal, he would still be sitting on his bed in his underwear playing guitar. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't care about anything else. And you could tell early on those people that were just obsessed with what they loved doing the most, and those that didn't became insurance salesmen. So
right.
That's the only insight I have into that. You have to find something you love doing more than anything, sink or swim, for better or worse, or feast or famine, and just do that. That's what's going to make you happy. It's more important to be happy than it is to be rich.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's everything on my list of questions for today, so appreciate you taking a little time out to chat, and I'm sure you're happy to wrap up your phone sessions for the day.
I hope I saved the best for last for you, Rob.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.